For Scriptarnica, the token utility is simple in a way. You basically use the tokens to buy books. And we have a mechanism how do you convert tokens from one token to another in order to deliver the book to the reader. When we are talking about the incentivization of the players, it becomes a bit less simple. In terms that the token is rewarding you for providing a service or goods to the rest of the network, to the readers, in two ways. One way is actually selling them the book, and the other thing is that the token is also used because as people buy more and more books and the token value goes up, we basically have an incentive where we are already rewarding you just for being a part of the network and holding the token. We also want you to stake the token as a collateral to ensure that you are actually going to deliver on this value. So in order to publish a book, or in order to do a translation, or to hold a number of books, in order to distribute them to other people once they have paid for them, you are basically need to stake the tokens as collateral in order to be a part of the system. And in those terms, we are also using it as a type of a membership fee. To know that we are actually going to have these people deliver the value to the end user. So when we were thinking about this, because buying and selling books is sort of a two-sided marketplace, we were also considering something we would call a subspecies, let's say, of a utility token, which is called the work token. And there are several types of utility tokens overall. We are going to mention two today. One thing is the work token, which basically says just that. I stake the tokens in order to get the right to provide work as a part of community, and once I have provided that work, I get my tokens back, and I get more tokens which are basically provided from the person who wanted me to do the work. The problem with the work tokens in this sense is that it is really great if you are a service-based provider in some way. It's great if we were building something like new Upwork or TopTal or freelancer.com. But with books, it's a little bit more complicated because the book value is not directly tied to the work I am providing today. It's tied to the value I have provided over time by writing the book and doing edits on it. And I also don't compete just on providing the work for the book itself. I also compete in marketing, in distribution, with other players in the system. So we needed a system which is a bit more complex than just a plain work token, and that is why here we introduce something we call the burn and mint equilibrium. This is not something we invented. This is a type of token which was, I think, first used by Factom as a way of representing the value of the network itself. And it's great because it's tied to the total, let's say, revenue and after that the profit of the network itself. Basically what we are doing when you are getting the first token, when you want to buy the book, you need to get the tokens from the network, from the holders. And then when you want to get the book, you are burning those tokens in order for, and destroying them effectively, in order to get the value out of the system or the book. Because Scriptarnica has a limited number of tokens in total, that means that the token basically is inflationary because I'm putting the money into the system and I'm also reducing the number of tokens. So over time, and I do that by burning. Over time, I'll also do minting of tokens in order to equate the value, or not the value, but the volume of the token over time. However, because of the transactions entering the system, the value of the stake token also goes up. And this is where the minting process comes in. We basically create new tokens that are going to replace the burned ones and redistribute them via smart contracts to the book authors, book holders, book contributors in different ways in order to thank them and to incentivize them to continue being the part of this network. For Scriptarnica, it's extremely important to have an actual economics model behind it. If we were starting a completely new company, work token would be more simple because it would be tied to the value of the work provided on the network. Here we need to have a supply of different things. So that means that we already have to provide certain value to the network before we start. And that means that currently Scriptarnica needs to provide the supply side and to ensure that there is a demand side. This means that if we were doing this for a company which is already buying and selling books or has a stable business, tokenizing it using a burn and mint equilibrium model would be relatively easy, because we would just tie the token value to the current value of the sales and expenses and, to the entire P&L of that company. Right now, Scriptarnica is more like a classical startup. We are trying to find advisors, we are trying to find more authors to put their books on our network. We are trying to find distribution partners who are going to help us deliver this value from day one. So if you are looking at different ways to incentivize an existing business, I would say work token and burn and mint equilibrium are great examples of what you can do depending on what your business is doing. If you are trying to do something which is product based, burn and mint equilibrium is probably going to be better. And if you are just trying to sell your services in a tokenized way, then work token model for token utility is probably the better way to go. While we are also, as I mentioned, dealing with getting more and more players to become a part of this Scriptarnica network, what we are also trying to do is also get a working demo out to the people, which is going to happen really soon. I would advise everyone who wants to sign up and try out how this is going to work on one or two book examples we are going to provide, and hopefully you are going to start buying or even writing books on our platform soon.